Virelion Prime was not a normal planet. It didn't have oceans or trees. It didn't even have clouds. Instead, it had towers of silver glass and skies filled with floating cities. Only the smartest beings in the galaxy were allowed to live there. Every 10 years, a special meeting was held. The most intelligent races from every star system came together to talk, share knowledge, and make big decisions for the galaxy. This year, the meeting was bigger than ever. Over 400 alien leaders had come. Their minds were powerful. Some could move ships with thoughts. Others could solve star maps in seconds. They had built machines that could create new moons. The galaxy called them the Brightest. In the main hall, the lights were low and soft music floated in the air. Creatures with glowing skin, metal bones, and energy-based brains stood around talking. Everyone was calm and proud. They spoke of new inventions, new planets found, and their plans for the future. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed through the room. It came from a creature with 6 eyes and golden armor. "We are the minds that control the galaxy," it said. "No one dares to challenge us now." The crowd cheered and raised their hands. That's when someone whispered, "What about the humans?" The music stopped. The lights seemed to dim. Every alien turned toward the voice. The one who had spoken was young, a scientist named Zelf. He was small, with smooth gray skin and eyes like ice. He had studied many races and wanted to learn everything. He had never fought a battle, but he asked questions others were too afraid to say out loud. One of the elders, a 3-headed being named Karos, looked at him. "Humans?" Karos said slowly. "Why speak of them here?" Zelf tilted his head. "Because I want to know why they're not invited. They are growing fast. They build warships. They explore far worlds. Why are we not watching them closely?" A low murmur spread across the hall. "They are unpredictable," someone muttered. "Wild," said another. Karos sighed. "Young one, they do not belong here. Their minds are still ruled by emotion. They do not understand peace. They are too dangerous to be part of the Brightest." Zelf didn't look scared. "But I read reports. On Vega 9, something happened, didn't it?" The room went silent. Karos's eyes darkened. "That place is not to be spoken of." "But why?" Zelf pressed. "I searched all the files. Every record of Vega 9 is gone. No names. No numbers. Only a single sentence. Do not go back. What do humans do there?" An older alien with silver lines on his skin stepped forward. His voice was thin like wind. "We lost 12 fleets at Vega 9. Ships vanished. No distress call. No wreckage. No bodies." Zelf's voice dropped to a whisper. "How?" The elder paused. "We surrounded a human ship. Only one. We thought it was broken. It didn't move. It didn't fire. So we attacked." "What happened?" Zelf asked. The elder shook his head. "No one remembers. Only that, after that moment, we were afraid to speak." Zelf frowned. "Afraid? You're the smartest minds in the galaxy." "That's why we're afraid," the elder said. "Because what we saw, we didn't understand. And things we don't understand, we fear." Zelf felt cold. For the first time in his life, he didn't know what to say. Karos stepped forward again. "Let the past sleep. The humans are quiet now. They stay in their part of the galaxy. That is best for all of us." But Zelf couldn't stop thinking. If the humans were truly dangerous, why was no one watching them? Why hide the truth? Why erase Vega 9? As the meeting continued, Zelf stood in silence. His mind raced with questions. He knew he had to find the truth. Not for power, not for fear, but for understanding. Later that night, under the twin moons of Virelion Prime, Zelf stood alone on a balcony. Stars filled the sky like dust on black glass. He whispered to himself, "What kind of warship makes the galaxy's smartest minds go silent?" He didn't know it yet, but that question would change everything. Zelf could not sleep. Even though the towers of Virelion Prime glowed softly around him, and the sky was calm, his mind was loud. The words from the council kept echoing in his head. We lost 12 fleets. No distress call. We were afraid to speak. It didn't make sense. These were the most powerful minds in the galaxy. They had technology that could predict black holes and bend time. How could they lose so much and not even talk about it? He had to know the truth. So the next morning, Zelf left the public halls and went deep into the lower levels of the Tower of Archives. This place was guarded. Not everyone could enter, but Zelf was a scientist. He had clearance for research. He used a special access key, stolen from his mentor's lab, and entered a door marked Forbidden, Level 9, War Records. The room was cold. No lights. Just blue screens and long shelves filled with data cubes. Zelf searched for Vega 9. At first, nothing came up. The files were locked behind layers of encryption. But he was clever. He wrote a simple command. Search deleted files. Human contact. Vega. One cube blinked red. He picked it up and activated it. A voice spoke. Log 173. Coalition of 12. Date. Pre-drift cycle. Mission. Observe human ship as Revenant at Vega 9. Zelf leaned closer. The voice continued. The ship is not responding. It does not power weapons. It does not send signals. It just floats. There was a pause. First strike sent. No response. Second strike. Missiles fired. No effect. Third strike. Board attempt. Ship remained sealed. Then the voice changed. It trembled. Crew. Changing. Voices in the comms. We see shadows inside the ship. No life forms detected. But something is looking back. Static filled the cube. Zelf's hand shook. Then a final line. We attacked. And we forgot how to scream. The cube powered down. Zelf stood in the silence. His heart beat faster than ever. He was not a soldier. Not even a brave person. But this fear wasn't just fear of death. It was fear of the unknown. Something was wrong with that ship. Something beyond science. He needed more answers. He remembered a name from one of the reports. Carval, an alien fleet captain who had been at Vega 9 and survived. Kerr had disappeared after the battle. No one knew where he went, but Zelf had a clue. An old shipping log showed a ship flying toward a cold moon on the edge of the Vinos belt. Ultra 7. It was far. A place no one visited. But that's where Zelf went. The journey took 2 days. When he landed, the cold almost broke his ship's systems. Ultra 7 was covered in ice, and the wind never stopped screaming. Zelf found a small outpost hidden between frozen cliffs. A light blinked weakly from a metal dome. Inside, he found Carval. The alien was older than the stars. His skin had faded, his back was bent, and one of his forearms was gone. He sat in silence, staring at a fire that wasn't even warm. Zelf stepped forward. I'm not here to fight. I need to know what happened at Vega 9. Carr didn't look at him. I read the logs, Zelf said. I know you were there. You saw the human ship, the Revenant. Carr blinked once. Zelf waited. Please, no one will talk. They hide the truth. But I must understand. Carr slowly turned his head. His voice was dry like dust. Understanding won't help you. I have to try. There was a long pause. Then Carr reached into a metal box beside him. He pulled out a small object, black and burned on one side. He handed it to Zelf. It was a piece of a ship hull. The human symbol was still visible. This, Carr said, was all that remained. Zelf held it carefully. What did the humans do to you? Carr stared into the fire. They did nothing. Zelf frowned. But your fleets vanished. Carr nodded. Yes, because we attacked. And they let us. Let you. Carr's eyes darkened. The Revenant didn't move, didn't speak, didn't fight. It just waited. And when we tried to break it, something broke in us instead. Zelf whispered, What did you see? Kara's voice dropped to a whisper. We saw ourselves, small, weak, afraid. That ship showed us what we are, not what we pretend to be. Zelf stepped back. The wind howled louder outside. Is the ship still out there? He asked. Kara said nothing. But Zelf knew. The Revenant wasn't gone. It was waiting. Zelf left the frozen moon of Ultra 7 with a piece of the Revenant's hull in his hand and a storm in his heart. Carvol's words echoed in his head. The ship didn't move. It just waited. We saw ourselves, small and afraid. That ship showed us what we are. Zelf had traveled across half the galaxy for answers. Now he had more questions than ever. He returned to his ship, eyes heavy with thought. Before leaving orbit, he sent a silent message to an old friend, an information broker named Laika, who worked in the black markets near the edge of the Drystar Void. Laika knew things no archive ever recorded. She didn't trust governments or alliances. She trusted credits and curiosity. The reply came fast. I've heard whispers. Revenant is real. And so is its captain. Come alone. Zelf set course for the Drystar Void. The station where Laika lived was hidden behind a dead moon. It floated in darkness, powered by stolen tech and forgotten science. When Zelf landed, he felt like the shadows were watching him. Laika was waiting. She was part human, part machine, and all sharp eyes and sharper words. She wore a long coat made of old chip panels and had data chips braided into her hair. You brought trouble, didn't you? She said. I brought a question, Zelf replied. About the Revenant. Laika's eyes narrowed. Not many speak that name. Fewer live long after they do. I need to find it. Laika sighed and poured him a drink that glowed blue. You don't find the Revenant. It finds you. But maybe I can help. She reached into a drawer and dropped a small chip on the table. This is a black box recording from a drone. Found near Vega 9. Someone sold it to me last year. No one wanted it. They said it felt cursed. Zelf plugged it into his pad. The screen showed static. Then stars. A ship appeared in the distance. Black, still. Silent. Like a shadow frozen in space. Then a voice. We are approaching unknown vessel. No signs of life. Hull seems intact. A pause. Wait. Signal detected. Audio only. Playing now. Zelf leaned forward. The voice from the ship was low, calm. Human. This is Captain Elara Voss, ASS Revenant. You found us. You shouldn't have. The drone shook violently. The screen went white. Then it ended. Laika looked serious. That voice, Elara Voss, she was supposed to be dead. Zelf blinked. You know her. Laika nodded. Everyone in the old war files knows her name. She was a war hero during the Earth-Sivant conflict. Brave, smart, unbreakable. Her ship vanished 20 years ago. Everyone thought it was destroyed. But she's still alive, Zelf whispered. Maybe, Laika said, or maybe it's something else. Some say the Revenant isn't just a ship anymore. It's something more, something haunted. Zelf stared at the screen. Where was this found? Edge of Zone Null, Laika said. But I warn you, Zelf. Many ships go there. Few return. Zelf stood up. I have to go. Laika grabbed his arm. You're not a soldier. I'm not looking for a fight, Zelf said. I'm looking for the truth. She let go. Then pray the truth doesn't look back. The journey to Zone Null was like flying into a graveyard. No stars, no light, just silence. As he entered the dark zone, Zelf's ship sensors began to fail. Lights flickered. Systems glitched. The computer stuttered like it was afraid. Then he saw it. The Revenant. It was bigger than he imagined. Not just a ship, more like a floating city. Black as space, with no windows, no markings. Except one, the Earth flag, faded and scratched. He tried to send a signal. No reply. He approached slowly. The ship didn't move, just like the reports said. His scanner found one open dock. He docked. And then he stepped inside. The air inside was cold, dry. The lights flickered but stayed on. No alarms, no voices. Only his own footsteps. The corridors were strange. Clean but untouched for years. It didn't feel like an abandoned ship. It felt like something was waiting. Then a door opened on its own. Inside stood a woman in a black uniform. She was calm, strong, her eyes sharp like ice. "Captain Elara Voss." "You shouldn't have come here," she said softly. Self froze. "You're alive?" She nodded, in a way. "What happened here?" Elara looked past him toward the stars. They'd feared us, because they didn't understand what we became. The Revenant is not just a ship anymore. It is memory, pain, a warning. A warning to who? To the galaxy, she said. They think they are the brightest, but they forgot something important. What? Zelth asked. Elara looked at him, eyes full of silence. That humans don't stop, even after death. Zelth stood face to face with Captain Elara Voss, someone who was supposed to be dead for over 20 years. She looked calm, alive, but there was something different about her. Her eyes didn't blink. Her voice was soft, but carried weight like thunder hiding behind a whisper. The galaxy forgot us, she said. But we didn't forget what they did. Zelth swallowed hard. They say your ship vanished during the Earth-7 war. Elara nodded. It didn't vanish. It was ordered to die. Zelth looked around. Why? Elara slowly walked down the corridor. Because we were winning. Zelth followed her. The ship was silent, but somehow awake. Lights flickered as they passed. Doors opened before Elara like they still obeyed her without question. We had new tech, she said. Earth gave us something the others weren't ready for. It wasn't just weapons. It was evolution. Zelth frowned. What kind of evolution? Elara stopped at a large metal door. Let me show you. Inside was a round room filled with glowing spheres. They'd floated in the air, humming quietly. Blue light pulsed from the center like a heartbeat. This is the core, Elara said. It's what makes the Revenant more than a ship. Zelth stepped closer. What's inside? Elara looked at him. Us. He blinked. What do you mean? She touched one of the spheres gently. When our ship was attacked, when we knew we were outnumbered, we had a choice. Die or change. We uploaded ourselves. Our minds, memories, thoughts. All of it. Zelth's eyes widened. You became part of the ship. We became the ship, she said. That's why we can't be destroyed. You can damage the hull. But not us. Zelth stepped back. You're not human anymore. Elara smiled sadly. Maybe not in the old way. But we still remember what it felt like to bleed. And we remember who made us bleed. Zelth nodded slowly. The Coalition. They were scared, Elara said. Scared that humans had gone too far. That we were changing the rules. Zelth whispered. So they erased you. Elara looked at him with cold fire in her eyes. They tried. But you can't erase truth. You can only bury it. Until it wakes up. Zelth sat in silence, the hum of the core filling the room like a quiet song of ghosts. He felt small. He had come searching for truth, but now he felt like he had opened a door the galaxy had locked on purpose. What do you want now? He asked. Elara looked up. We want to remind them. Remind them of what? She stepped closer, her voice sharper now. That humans don't need numbers, or size, or planets. We only need a reason. One reason to stand, to fight, to rise again. Zelth's breath caught in his throat. And when we rise, Elara said, we don't rise quietly. Suddenly the ship shook. Alarms flashed red. Zelth turned. What's happening? Elara looked toward the ceiling. They found us. Who? She closed her eyes. The Coalition. They'd followed your signal. Self's heart dropped. I didn't mean to. I know, she said. But it was always going to happen. They'd feared this moment for years. Outside, several ships appeared, sleek, silver, glowing with power. Coalition war cruisers. They sent a message. To the unknown vessel, you are surrounded. Stand down. You have 1 minute to comply. Zelf looked at Elara. She smiled. Let's give them something to remember. The Revenant came alive. Not like other ships. It didn't power up with engines. It woke up. Lights flowed like rivers through its walls. Energy pulsed under the floor. The sound of voices, not one but many, filled the air. Self heard them. Dozens. Hundreds. The crew. The fallen. The mind stored in the core. They are not ready, one voice said. They never were, said another. Outside, the coalition prepared to fire. But before they could, the Revenant moved. Not with speed, not with violence. It shifted, phased between dimensions for half a second. In that blink of time, the coalition ships froze. Their systems crashed. Their weapons melted inside. Zelf stared in disbelief. What did you do? Elara answered softly. We reminded them of fear. All that remained was silence. The coalition ships drifted, powerless. The Revenant returned to stillness. Elara looked at Zelf one last time. You've seen the truth. Now you must decide what to do with it. Zelf asked, Why me? Because, she said, you looked for us when no one else dared. The ship opened a light path back to his docked vessel. Zelf walked slowly, the piece of hull still in his pocket, and now something deeper in his soul. He had seen what the galaxy forgot, and he knew. They wouldn't forget again. Zelf's ship drifted quietly through space as he left the dark zone where the Revenant slept. He didn't speak. He didn't blink much either. His hands shook slightly on the controls, but his eyes were cold and focused. Behind him, he had left a ship that should not exist. A captain who should have died. A crew that had become more than human. And now, he carried their truth. But truth was dangerous. Zelf returned to the central archive on GalacticPrime, a floating city of light, knowledge, and silence. The galaxy's most powerful minds lived here. Scientists, diplomats, and leaders from dozens of star systems. He didn't ask for permission. He walked straight into the main council hall, holding the piece of the Revenant's hull like a weapon. The guard stopped him. I have something the galaxy buried, he said. One of the counselors, a Sivent elder named Trovek, stepped forward. His eyes were sharp like glass. You again, Trovek said. Back from your little ghost hunt? Zelf raised his voice. I found it. I found the Revenant. I spoke to Captain Elara Voss. The room fell quiet. Some laughed nervously. Others stared. That ship is a myth, someone said. Zelf slammed the whole piece on the table. She is not a myth. She's waiting. Watching. And if you don't listen, she will wake the stars. A younger scientist stepped forward. You expect us to believe that a 2-decade-old warship is alive and still functional. Zelf stared straight at her. I saw coalition warcruisers melt in seconds. I heard voices from the core. I stood on that ship. It is not a legend. It is a warning. Counselor Trovek leaned back in his chair. He was silent for a long time. Then he said, What do you want, Zelf? Zelf's jaw tightened. I want the truth released. I want the galaxy to know what was done to the Revenant, and I want to know who gave the order to erase it. Murmurs filled the hall, but Trovek's face darkened. You think you're a hero, but you're just noise. If we admit what you saw is real, we create panic, war, fear. Zelf stepped forward. Maybe they should be afraid. Trovek's eyes flashed. You say that like it's a good thing. Zelf nodded. It is, because the galaxy forgot what humans are capable of when pushed, and the Revenant is proof. Later that night, Zelf returned to his quarters. He knew they didn't believe him. Or worse, they did believe him, and wanted it hidden again. He sat at his desk and activated a secure line. Laika answered. "You're alive," she said. "That's rare." "They tried to shut me down," he said. "I need to go public." Laika frowned. "They'll kill the story before it spreads, or kill you. Not if the truth spreads faster." He uploaded everything: images, recordings, voices from the Revenant's core. The video of the Coalition warships falling apart in silence, the voice of Captain Ilara Voss. He sent it out. To every corner of the galaxy. Every free system. Every pirate channel. Every outlaw news wave. He didn't hide his name. By morning, the galaxy burned with one name. Revenant. Some said it was fake. Others knew better. A Sci-fi war general named Kalvar sent out a warning to all his fleets. Avoid the null zone. If the Revenant exists, no ship will survive a second encounter. Earth's leadership remained silent, but their old war commanders began whispering again. Some cried. Others just sat alone in dark rooms. And deep in hidden bases, secret projects were restarted. The silence was cracking. Zelth received a message later that day. No name. No sender. Just a voice. "You did well." He knew who it was. Ilara. He replied, "What happens now?" The answer came like a cold wind. "Now we see who remembers how to be afraid." On a distant moon, the young pilot named Rio watched the footage Zelth had leaked. Her father once told her stories about the Revenant. He had fought in the Earth-7 war. Everyone laughed at him. Not anymore. She stood in the dark, her hands shaking as the video looped. The ship in black, the voice saying, "You shouldn't have come here." Rio whispered, "They're real." Then she did something bold. She opened a private message channel and sent one sentence. "If you're listening, Captain Ilara Voss, I want to help." Far away, in the black depths of space, the Revenant stirred. The ship had no captain's chair anymore. It didn't need one. It was alive, full of memory, pain, and the fire of old wars. The voices spoke again. "One has returned. Others will follow. The Brightest feared us before. Soon, they will kneel." The galaxy was no longer quiet. Since Zelth's broadcast, whispers had turned into waves. Systems began asking questions. Veterans of the Earth-7 war spoke out. Some cried on live feeds. Others simply nodded and said, "I knew she was out there." The Central Council tried to stop the spread. But truth, once free, does not return to its cage. And the name Revenant was now spoken across every planet like a storm approaching. Zelth watched it all from a small station on the edge of neutral space. He had gone into hiding, not from fear, but because he had done what he set out to do. He had pulled the curtain back. Now it was the galaxy's turn to look and decide. Would they fight this truth, or finally bow to it? Far above, in a quiet zone no longer forgotten, the Revenant moved again. Not through space. Through time. Not literally, but in the way it reminded the galaxy of a past they tried to erase. The crew, those digital souls fused with steel, watched quietly as chaos spread. They didn't smile. They didn't celebrate. They waited. Captain Ilara Voss stood at the edge of the viewing deck. Though the ship needed no windows, she could see through stars now. A voice from the core whispered, "They're sending a new fleet." Ilara answered softly, "Let them." The new coalition fleet was the best the galaxy had. 40 ships, 10 elite dreadnoughts, 3 Bright-class mines, AI commanders known to calculate entire wars in seconds. They didn't come to talk. They came to finish what was started 20 years ago. But this time, the Revenant wasn't surprised. It was waiting. As the fleet arrived, the Revenant remained still, dark, cold, like a ghost ship. Then came the first message, from one of the Bright-class mines. "This is Logical Unit Velrix 2. Stand down. You are surrounded. You cannot win." Ilara finally answered. Not with anger. Not with fire. Just truth. We are not here to win. We are here to be remembered. The fleet opened fire. Dozens of beams, torpedoes, and disruptors hit the Revenant. But they passed through empty air. The ship was there, and not there. It flickered. It shifted. Time slowed. And then, everything stopped. In one breathless moment, every ship froze. Engines died. Screens cracked. AI minds went silent. Then came the voices. Thousands of them. Human voices. Fused into one echo. We were not erased. We were reborn. You feared us before. Now, you remember why. The Bright class AI shut down instantly. Not by force. By choice. They could not process what the Revenant had become. It didn't fit any known code. It was no longer just a ship. It was a memory with teeth. A scar that still bold. A story that refused to die. And the smartest minds in the galaxy, those who called themselves the Brightest, finally realized something terrible. They were not the top of the ladder. Humans were still climbing. The fleet turned back. Not a word spoken. Not a single threat made. They left. Quietly. The same way fear enters a room. Across the galaxy, leaders knelt in secret. Not in worship. In understanding. They had pushed too far. Buried too deep. Forgotten too quickly. And the Revenant had returned to remind them. Not to destroy. But to make them remember. Zelth watched the news feeds. The Council made no statements. But every system began making space in their records again, restoring the names of the Revenant's crew. Opening files once marked, erased. Printing new history books. The truth was back. And this time, it would not be silence. Somewhere far, far from the center of the galaxy, a new pilot sat inside a hidden ship. Her name was Rhea. She had been accepted. Not as a soldier, not as a hero. As a witness. She stood beside Elara now, learning, listening, preparing. Because even though the galaxy now feared the Revenant, one day they would need it again. And when that day came, it would answer. Not with war, but with the power of what happens when you try to bury the wrong kind of story. The human kind.